Greetings and salutations, friends. Welcome back to the project, and we are going to start things off with a donut shop. Yes. So we've got the donut vendor right here, but it needs a surround, and it needs to look somewhat like something that you would find, right? So I've got off camera. I've got some pictures of some real-world donut shops as inspiration. And I highly recommend that. If you're going to work on something, get yourself some photographs. Even if it's just to take some ideas from them, get some photographs and keep them open so you can refer to them easily. So we've got the surround done here, and now I've got to find the roof. And this is the eternal struggle that I seem to be having. When I do find a roof, I want it inset, and when it is inset, you get that overlap, which creates that tearing. So for a moment I'm thinking, okay, well, the shapes will do the trick, but the problem is the shapes are just way too shiny, and we have no way to adjust that. So in the studio pack, there's these asphalt pathways, which have a bit of a texture, they can be colored, and they'll work, and they're not gridlocked. So I can bury them slightly and stop them from tearing through the walls. Alright, so now we got the roof on. Let's work on some frontage, something to make it stand out and look a little bit less like just a square block. So there's a real-world donut vendor that has these... actually, it's not just the donut vendor either. There's a couple of fast food restaurants that have a similar style to the front of their buildings. And it kind of works. It breaks up the shape of the building, and it adds just a little pop of color as well. So I'm going to use that for some inspiration, and I'm just going to use that on this side of the building here. And I think that already looks far better. So we'll get some signage going, and then I'm like, well, I'm going to do this plastic surround as well, but let's see if we can't make it the same color as the pink in the donut. There's no eyedropper tool, which causes me a little bit of a headache there, but I kind of tweak it a little bit and get something not close, but close enough, I think. And then I've got to line it all up and make sure that it looks nice and get the surround around this window, and that's where I find that I've got just this tiny touch of overlap here. And at no point did it occur to me to adjust that black front piece. But then, of course, if I had done, it would actually have overlapped the window on the side there a little bit, and that would have looked bad anyway. So, all right. So we've got the shop, right? But we need just something to make it pop from the footpath as you approach. So once again, we go back to these lovely stanchions here, and I'm like, well, instead of one big one, what about two little ones just to hold it up? And then we need some chimneys on here just to make it look like it's actually something. And I completely forget to put the smoke coming out of them. And then there's the access door and some AC, just so our vendors are nice and comfortable in their work environment. And I'm going to move it back just a little bit, and we're going to look at this, because now the donut shop is actually kind of covering up the coffee shop a little bit. So I need to adjust that. So now let's just very quickly look at doing the access path behind these, right? Because obviously you would have the staff path so they can get there and do their thing without being molested by hundreds and hundreds of guests. Alright, so we have a little play with some pathing here, and I'm like, oh god, here we go again. And then I realize I can probably just use the grid section here and do that, and then, okay, well, I've got to adjust the building and move that back a bit, and then I realize, well, why don't I just move the friggin' door? And then, of course, put the path down, use the Z button to snap or to force the path to link together. And now let's add a little bit of clutter to the back of the buildings. And I'm like, well, this is probably going to be something I'm going to have to do a lot. So I'm going to make a blueprint. I'll make a blueprint or a building. And there's this huge dumpster that's part of the Studios pack as well. It's for the stunt scenes, but you can turn the animation off, so it's just an inert dumpster sitting somewhere. But I decided I'm just going to not use that. I'm going to try and find... There's a recycling bin, and I forgot that it's a recycling bin. But I find the trash cans, I put the trash cans down, and now I go hunting for the recycling bin. And I'm looking for dumpsters, bins, all kinds of... I'm like, I know it's here somewhere. I know it is. And then eventually... There it is. Now, there we go. We've got it. Excellent. So now I can move this, make sure everything's attached, and I can just move it around and move it into place and align it there. So we've now got the trash collection point behind the two shops, and I think it looks rather nice. So let's move on to the toilet now. I did all this in the previous episode, and then I realized that I didn't like it. It didn't really fit the aesthetic right here. Why would there be this random building? So I was like, okay, so off we go again, off to the old the internets to find ideas for restroom blocks that are reasonably generic. And off we go again. So I'm using this same... I'm not going to learn my lesson anytime soon, by the way. I use this same building style as the coffee shop and the donut shop. And of course, it doesn't have the slanty bits that I need. And I'm like, well, I want a tin roof kind of thing here. But again, no. So I come up with, play with some various different ideas. And of course, none of them are going to work properly. And the ones that do seem to work, it leave me those horrible lines. Okay, alright, so more playing around with the roof. Maybe we can use the shapes instead, right? Not so much. All right. Okay. So well, let's just do a single slanted roof. Whatever. Like, thanks, PlanetCoaster. So back to the wood tile roofing again, and so now I've got to fill this out. I've got to figure out how I'm going to do this. Maybe I can do a slant on this side, and then we'll do a slant on the back side. So we'll just lift all of this up. There we go. We'll lift these up. Now we've got to fill this gap in without creating a problem with the building underneath. It's like, okay, fine. All right, let's lower the roof a little bit. We'll get there. We'll get this. All right, we'll fill this in, and we'll just basically, we're going to get this sorted out, and we're just going to walk away. This is starting to get a little too frustrating. So I'm just going to get the roof done, get it somewhat functional. I mean, it looks okay. We'll get some signage on there. There we go. Alright, so there's that. There's the aid. We'll just sink them in a little bit, move them across. We'll assign them to their respective places. Do a little bit of decoration. And, you know, I'm kind of frustrated, so I will come back to this. Alright, so we got the coffee shop. We got that. Now, I did say something about a track ride in here. But I really couldn't think of anything that I wanted to put down. And I'm thinking, well, what would fit in this gap here? And I'm thinking about it for a while. And then I come up with the idea of a kiddie coaster. Because, you know, we need a kiddie coaster in the park for the little kiddie winks. So the first thing I do is build the block track and the area where, or the what is it called? The track that goes into the maintenance shed or the maintenance building or whatever you want to call it. So we do a nice little tire-driven lift hill here, and plenty of like little whoop-de-doos and some curving back on itself. I've got a lot of area to play with, and I'm going to come back and put some theming out here. So let's just run a quick test, make sure it's going to have the guts to get around. We want to make sure that it's reasonably exciting for the children. So lots of ups and downs. And when you do corners, if you bank corners and put bunny hops in them, they're not particularly exciting. But at the top of the bunny hop, if you, or the bunny hill or whatever you want to call it, if you flatten the curve a little bit, you take the banking out and you have it flat, you can create just a touch of airtime, which is enough to generate some excitement, and then when it comes down again, put it back into some banking. But if you just do the banking all the way through the corner, it's less exciting, apparently. So I learnt that lesson. So now I'm trying to get this around. I've got a second lift hill in here, so there's another block section. And then back to the station. There we go. Fantastic. So I can run on this at least 3 trains if I want to. I'm only going to run 2 though. 3 might be a bit excessive. We'll see. Because each lift hill or lift section, well, it's not really lift hill, is it? Lift section is going to be a block section as well. So potentially I could have 3 trains. 1 in the station, 1 on the first incline, 1 on the second incline. But like I said, we'll look at adjusting that later. It depends on how popular the ride is. So let's make some adjustments. We'll try and get this thing exciting and all the way back to the station, which it does, and we get a pretty good EFN for a kiddie ride. So we'll just tweak it out a little bit. We'll do some adjustments here and there. We'll leave it running while I ponder how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to move these trees around. And I guess what I'll do is I'll do some faux buildings in here somewhere. And just kind of theme it out a little bit, for the kiddie winks. Alright, so we've got that going, we've got that done. Now we're going to open it up. Let's adjust the maintenance track a little bit. We'll come back to that. We'll put the entrance down, and this is just going to be a very simple out and back. And we'll link it up to the path as normal, and we'll link that up to the path. I don't want it close to the entrance, so I did that little diagonal connection there. We'll give him a little hut to hide in, so she or he or whatever, are nice and hidden from the sun. We'll move these trees around here. We'll get those out of the way, and like I said, we'll come back and we'll work on the theming for this. But right now we'll pick out the track supports and where the track gets close to the ground. This is always the most entertaining part of building a roller coaster right here. Painting the ground. There we go. Excellent. And it looks like it's going to be rather popular because the queue is already filling up. Lovely. Okay, and then I'm starting to consider what I'm going to do over here. I want to do 2 water rides because usually you have them grouped together, right? Because instead of separating them out, you then have to have 2 separate pump stations. You have to have 2 separate filter systems going. But if you join them together, you can have 1 big pump and 1 big filter and take care of all of the water rides at the same time by the same equipment. Easy peasy. So now I'm just kind of using the paint tool to draw out ideas for the log flume and the riverboat ride. Not the riverboat ride, sorry, the log flume and the rubber tire ride thingy. And that's it really. I'm just going to play with that. We've got plenty done. Thanks for watching. It's much appreciated. Comments and constructive criticism is always welcome. And tune in next time for some more probably indecisiveness and stupidity. Bye bye!